Hey guys, it's Malvo here once again, and wouldn't you know it, it's your friend Scourge making it into a build and a video as a standalone skill ever since the slight change in, I don't know, a few weeks ago for a patch for it. It actually turned into a pretty respectable skill. Now, mind you, I'm doing nothing to do with the poison or the chaos interaction of the skill, and in this version of the character, I have just decided to straight up stack flat lightning damage to Scourge Arrow because for every second of charge up you gain an additional 150% more damage of your base stacking damage. So you stack a bunch of lightning, after 5 stacks you're dealing 750% of the original 40% of the damage of the skill, and that ends up being a very potent amount of damage, especially with the spore pods going all over the place, shooting everywhere, and it becomes a very respectable skill for both single target and decent enough for clear, though it is a little bit awkward for some people, I would say, to stand still, click, and release. Can be a bit uncomfortable, but I have not found any problems with that, and as a clear skill, it's actually felt pretty damn good. For the most part, I die roughly never, maybe once every, I don't know, 15 levels at this high level stage, but in the end game delve depths, it does start to get a little bit tougher, just thanks to the one-shots and all of that. But other than that, I have now taken on every piece of content, all tier 16s, all Shaper-related things, and even Uber Elder Deathless, because the skill does quite an amazing amount of damage, and your Mirage Archer does quite a lot of work during things like Uber Elder, even when you are running around. But this has just been a very solid character and a very solid bow skill at this point. Like I said, just a bit clumsy with the charge up time for your spore pods. So you fix that by going a very fast bow like a Tempest in this build. So you charge up just a little bit quicker to go from 1 to 5 stacks. Typically while mapping you get like 2, 3 sort of stacks. Unleash and then do quite a lot of damage with the spore pods, and that should clear enough to just move on for the next kill. So there is a good double beyond example here where for the most part you will unleash your stacks of the barrage of spore pods, and it'll basically just blow everything up as it spawns even. So it's a very efficient beyond killer. It's been a very efficient delve character as well, and overall it is just a pretty nice playstyle, I think. Probably one of my favorite bow skills at the moment if you get it stacking and built just right. Comparable to Rain of Arrows in what a bow character should more or less feel like, just for a theme and playstyle. But like I said, just the charge up time can be a little bit awkward to start with before you have some really good attack speed. Definitely can't get away with a slower weapon. It starts to feel kind of bad doing your stacks and charging it up for every single little interaction and little pack of monsters. Now you can see this is just going to be a delve run or two, and it's pretty smooth for delve, especially in the more open caverns and the sort of less narrow pathways, because the really narrow ones, Scourge Arrow does have a problem of getting through, like certain doorways and stuff. It's just a not very good skill for that. I don't know how else to explain it. It does not go through doorways very well, but in the more open senses, it definitely starts to farm very nicely, and for the waves of monsters during certain Azerite encounters, it's very smooth in cleaning up all of those. And at the start of the video, I showed you a good example of the Scourge Arrow against the Vile Ruins, where you can just keep charging it up and keep exploding things before they have a chance to really come at you. And then we of course have the Guardian, so that's a tier 16 Guardian. That was a Phoenix with 40% extra life, so that was a pretty smooth kill on him. For Hydra, this one's I think got some extra damage or something, attack speed, and it is a little bit harder because you have to stand still to wind your damage up, but for the most part you can preload a lot of your damage in a lot of these different fights and interactions to be a still very smooth kill and playstyle. And I think, like I said, I wasn't dying to any of this stuff. The only stuff I actually died to was some Delve 300 related things that had lots of damage and would sometimes just one-shot you if you're not careful. But for endgame encounters, Scourge Arrow was just, yeah, pretty buttery smooth, especially because of the large amount of damage that it has, meaning you can insta-phase to the next sort of phase or boss mechanic pretty much instantly, and you'll see that in the full Uber Elder video at the end of this video. But just to start with, I do want to go over the character, how I built it, and what you can really kind of do with Scourge Arrow these days. Now you will get to see how this plays out against Uber Elder quite soon. It is a very smooth sort of playstyle and character, and that's why I could do it deathless on the first shot. So it's currently level 92, called Never Inquisitor, and it's a Scion. So a Scion specifically because I didn't feel like this type of skill needed the Deadeye bonuses of like additional proj, chain, that sort of thing. And I wanted to specifically then go Elementalist so I can get a little bit of penetration, do Reflect Immune maps, just so I can do Ellie Reflect maps of all kinds of, shaped Zana mod things. You get the extra shock percent as well, which does synergize with that Impulsor a little bit. And then I want to run Pathfinder just for some convenient flask usage. But you can kind of do everything. You can do Raider, you can do Deadeye, you can do Pathfinder. Over here you could do Inquisitor. You can do quite a lot with Scion. Of course, Slayer as well if you want that survivability. So Scion's pretty versatile in this sort of a setup. But of course, Deadeye will probably be one of the fastest things you can do. Pathfinder, Raider, Scourge Arrow with this type of a flat stacking setup I'd say is fairly versatile. Now the way we're doing it currently is running a Tempest Bow because it does have 100% increased lightning damage, a bunch of attack speed, so it's pretty much the fastest thing you can do outside of Cool Rain, which makes your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stacks just a little bit quicker, so you can unleash your Spore Pods and do that damage. Now you don't have to use a Tempest. I did pick up this bow over here for 12 Chaos, and as far as my Path of Building is concerned, exactly the same damage. They end up doing 1.7 mil shape of DPS either way. So this bow or the Tempest bow, exactly the same. The point here is though, it's a little bit slower, so it does feel a little worse on the mapping and the wind up, but it can of course hit harder thanks to the double damage mod, the higher crit. So it is just, it's got its higher highs but lower lows, whereas Tempest just sort of a baseline, a good amount of damage. And ultimately, if you really want to cheese the game, you can go a Chin Soul as well. So you can see here, this is what Scourge Arrow does. No stages, 400k, release at 5 stages. The arrow itself will hit for 370,000 average, 710 DPS that way. And Thorn Arrows, the exploding little arrows, will deal 1.7 mil DPS or about 180 average. That's off the Tempest, off of this 12 Chaos Bow, 1799, and off of Chin Soul itself, 2.4 mil, because you really can't beat a Chin Soul with 100% more damage at close range when you're using flat stacking elemental damage. So the actual damage portion of our build is coming from flat damage. Running added lightning over here, I do have a Herald of Thunder, got a Wrath over here, and then running like 3-4 Abyssal Jewels that do this sort of stuff. So lightning, bit of accuracy, lightning, attack speed, lightning, accuracy. Then I do have another lightning one over here, and another lightning over here with a bit of life, and a lightning Watcher's Eye that just gives some Wrath crit chance. It's not super important, but it is a bit nice to have that for life, and then additional crit chance. You can get some better ones like penetration. Lightning damage is fine too, but a lot of our damage does come from stacking these lightning watchers, searching eyes. So if you can get some of those, that's definitely going to give you quite a lot more damage than if you can't get very many. And they are fairly expensive typically, the life ones especially, but I think I crafted just about all of these myself. You can craft them through certain fossils that have, let's say, the one that does added lightning damage, a pristine one, and a prismatic one. If you use all of those, or just primarily the lightning ones themselves, you can craft some pretty nifty jewels off of very little amounts of fossils, and otherwise alt regaling gets you pretty far as well. So I'm pretty sure I crafted all of these myself, and even another good example, it took me 1 fossil slam to craft this one over here. Just for lightning, lightning to wands, accuracy, and then lightning pen. So that was just a single use of a lightning fossil. They are pretty efficient, I think, to make these double lightning hybrids for searching eyes, since there's only a couple of mods that can really happen in terms of wands or bows. So it's not too hard to make this sort of stuff, and I do recommend trying it if you're going to be playing this type of character. You can also do cold flat stacking if you really want to go that route, but we ended up doing this so I could use impulses for the first time in 4 months or so. It's not vital to the build, I don't think. The explosions really don't help the clear that much. It just helps remove some corpses, and it does iron out a little bit of your killing speed, because with this many thorns you do actually kill pretty damn efficiently and get a lot of good clear speed. If you went the cold sort of version, you can get Herald of Ice, and that would for sure be cleaning everything up quite comfortably. So Scourge Arrow itself, as you can see, has a bunch of chaos, a bunch of sort of supposed to be poison synergy, but it doesn't really matter because it's 150 more damage with hits and ailments based off of its base 50%, and so it's just going to stack our flat lightning either way and do quite a lot of huge damage that way. So it ends up being very worthwhile to just stack some flat damage and not even care about the chaos and poison. So it does release a bunch of pods after you get to 5 stacks. Now if you have LMP or GMP, it means the pods will go in a smaller cluster. So if, for example, we chuck in LMP, all it does is mean that your initial arrows split into 3, so you then hit 3 times, but your pods don't change in number, and they just can cluster better around wherever your mouse is. So if you hold it close to yourself, it is quite popular right now to have an additional arrow in your build for Scourge Arrow, just so that you can hold it close to yourself and then create a bunch of extra spore pods around a boss, which will blow the boss up faster and more efficiently. I haven't really done that in my build because it's been fine without any additional arrows, and just winding mine in a single line. Now it does bring me to the helm enchant that says Scourge Arrow creates an additional spore pod at maximum stages. Currently it creates additional spore pod at every stage. So the strength in this one is that when you wind up 1 stack real quick just to pop off against some quick enemies, you are getting 2 spore pods off every single time instead of just the 1. So if you did it otherwise, 1 spore pod there, it will only create 1 off of 1 stack. With the helm enchant, it means that you'll create an additional at every stage, and that does get just a little more quality of life for clearing. Rest of the character's gear, pretty straightforward. Try and get elemental damage to attacks, try and get some flat lightning if you can, but most of that's coming from searching eye jewels. And once again, crafted another belt through lightning fossil, prismatic fossil, and life fossil. They are quite easy to make. Quiver, if you can, try and get some an additional arrow, because that will be quite nice for your single target, but I didn't do that, and that's totally fine anyway. Besides that, I'm not sure what else there is to say for you guys. Did get point blank, that's a huge damage boost once you're near the target. And our leech is coming from here. You can use a lionized jewel up here and grab the usual claw nodes, but it's just a few more points and costs a bit more. But this is the passive tree for a Scion if you want to follow it. You can follow my exact Tempest Rain of Arrows Deadeye character. It's the exact same concept, exact same sort of build, but using Scourge Arrow instead, and it seems to be pretty successful as a bow skill at the moment that you use flat stacking on. If you only have a 5 link, I would recommend in this current setup taking out probably damage on full life, because you're not always going to be on full life, but yeah, a lot of the time I am, so I've been running it. Otherwise, you can run crit strikes if you don't like that gem. Slower proj does affect your clear speed, so instead you'd run faster proj or faster attacks, and then sub in slower proj for boss killing if that's the way you want to do it. But early on, you don't have much crit on your bows, so crit strikes is pretty good to run instead of lightning pen for a lot of the early game. It's once you get a 6 link and all your crit filled out, that's when you can do other things like damage on full life, I think. So that's about it to say about this character, guys. That's a more or less full guide. You can check out all the gems and stuff in the character rundown and the POB. It's been a very smooth Scourge Arrow. I would recommend giving it a shot with either cold or lightning flat stacking. Whatever ascendancy you want, there's plenty out there that can synergize well with this. I'll leave you guys with the Uber Elder kill. I'm still going to play this character for another day or so, doing some endgame content, but enjoy the kill. Thank you for watching, and see you guys next time. About to get fisted. And I didn't even have to pay $300, so... Can't pass up that deal.
Putrefy, rot, spoil, and fester.
Oh my god. So that's a lot of lag. What is going on? That lag is like another level bad right now. Deeps is good. I almost died right then though. Oh shit, they already went for it. Okay. No! Dead, aren't I? Well, not yet, evidently. How is Shaper still alive? Fuck, man. He lived for so long. Deathless first try, by the way. Yeah. That's pretty good damage. Induragon. They're good rolls on this thing. That's bad, I think. But yeah, okay.